Monday, the 21st of October. The bell is back. The markets is open across Frontier Africa. Welcome everyone to the 21st of October, which was tiptoeing to the final week, as it were, the final 2 weeks. Today, after this week, we've got a couple of more days next week to finish off with the first month in the fourth quarter. But just a quick run through the markets. Let's start on Sunday. The Egyptian stock market, EGX30, fell below the 30,000 level by 2.04%, a very deep dive for this emerging market north of the continent, finishing 29,528. The rest of the region, Africa, were a little bit mixed. Friday with the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange and Johannesburg market in the green, as well as the Nairobi stock market, bigger by 1.09%. Uganda stock market was about 89 basis points better on Friday, as well as the Rwanda was flattish. Ghana stock market was flattish for most of the week. If you look at the rest of the Southern Africa, Mauritius stock market was up by roughly 1%, 0.9% on Friday. The Nigerian stock market just one notch in the negative territory. The BRVM finished in the red, 0.14%, and the Lusaka stock market, 0.93%. In Zambia. Those are just a run through the markets across Africa. Just get a touch of that. But of course, we got the Uganda stock market touching new highs. Those news came through during the week as far as the market cap and the index concerned. And congratulations on that. But let's move on. We've got a lot to touch on within the North African, Horn of Africa, East African corridor a little bit later with Ethiopia. But let's get started. The big story is that the global public debt will reach $100 trillion by the year 2030. We're tiptoeing towards that. We're moving furiously towards that, to put it more correctly, because according to the latest report from the Bretton Woods institutions, countries around the world are gulping up more debts, in particular from emerging and developing countries. And a few of that we're seeing also from across developed economies. So the World Bank IMF annual meeting starting formally today in Washington, D.C. for the rest of the week until Sunday. We'll focus on that, as well as geopolitics, regional conflict, how to find new strategies and ideas, as well as innovation to keep the world economy going. Not some good news out of China's economy yet, with 4.8% GDP numbers, but we got some stimulus announcement over the weekend from the PBOC and a few other government agencies focusing on the securities market, banks and financial institutions last week from the real estate sector. Sticking with the East and Central Africa, the IMF and Tanzania said they've reached a deal for a fresh $266 million support for Tanzania, while Ethiopia is looking to raise about $255 million in the initial public offer of Ethio Telecom, which, of course, the Nairobi Securities Exchange, BSX, and iCapital are working together to ensure a safe birthing of the new exchange in Ethiopia. We're expecting that anytime soon. The government of Ethiopia is looking to sell 10% of Ethiotel and to list it first on the new ESX. Soleil's Energy, as well as Melsi Holdings, says they're looking at a new 200 megawatt solar park in the DR Congo, part of going green within that corridor in Central Africa. Let's take it to West Africa. Of course, Nigeria's had a lot of head scratching last week as far as the World Bank reports updates on Nigeria was concerned for the first half of the year. Well, you got a couple of stories coming through from Bloomberg this morning with Rockefeller and the business group says they're looking at Nigeria's weak power sector investment. The country solely needs all the help it can get in that space and a couple of other areas as well. Nigerian breweries extended rights issue to existing shareholders, roughly 600 billion naira, formally closed on Friday. There'll be no further extension. The brewer is looking for the Naira pile of cash to support its local operations after it got a bit of a reprieve from Heineken. This parent company there in the Netherlands. Heineken is expected to report its third quarter earnings this week. We'll keep an eye on that and see how much of Africa and emerging markets go into the numbers in the third quarter. Ghana and China says they're committing to a sustainable mining sector, while Liberia is looking to increase the salaries of civil servants next year, 2025. Another country in Africa is doing that. But let's get on and check through with Southern Africa, and that's where Namibia is also looking to lift minimum wage of workers by 2025 as well. What else do we have within the Southern African corridors? There will be no convergence of the ZIG currency and the US dollar, and that's according to the minister in charge of the Treasury in Zimbabwe. Says no convergence. The ZIG is here to stay, despite still tottering, as it were, on the brink of a collapse. But Zimbabwe says there's no going back in ZIG being the fiat currency for Zimbabwe, and there will no return to the US dollar. The head of the SARB in South Africa, Leseja Kagango, says there's a need to lower the inflation target from the current 4.4%, which has been achieved last month in the country. Mozambique is looking at $110.5 million investment in a new solar plant, despite the big multi-billion-dollar, $20 billion roughly, gas project being worked on with Total Energies. And PIC, the biggest asset manager in South Africa, is looking for a new chief executive officer that will replace the retiring Abel Sithole. What does it look like north of the corridor? So we've got the weekend of CANEX in Algiers, the Algerian capital in the iconic city of the North African country. Afreximbank announced over the weekend is going to top up the CANEX funding support from initial $500 million a few years ago to $2 billion. That's taking it entirely to a new level. You're going to go online and see some of those impressive outing by African fashion makers, designers, and others, including food, cuisine, and everything else in Algiers. It was a weekend of entertainment, fashion, culture of the African continent, promoted actively by Afreximbank. Congratulations. EIB, that's the European Investment Bank, and the EU are partnering with Morocco on a $132 million rural education program, while Morocco says it's going to move into shipbuilding as a key to economic sovereignty after being a hub for European automakers, as well as servicing of aircraft. Morocco is moving to the sea and wants to go into shipbuilding. Fuel prices have gone up for the third time now in Egypt because of the removal of fuel subsidy. Now you've got to pay about 2 Egyptian pounds per litre at the pumps to get gasoline. And those are your headlines as we start the new Business and Markets Week here on Frontier Africa Reports. This is your Frontier opening bell for Monday, the 21st. Let's see what the rest of the week looks like. Have a great week ahead, everyone. Bye for now.